My friends, in the event that you are new to this wonderful card game and you have not yet signed up for a UGN Play account, you can now sign up with my exclusive referral code Alliteration and get yourself 50 bonus loyalty points for free, as well as additional loyalty points for every event that you play in within my referral code period. Why do you need these, you might ask? Well, loyalty points can be used to redeem free promotional cards in the mail, as well as other exclusive items coming in the future. The bonus points from using my code are enough to redeem almost any promo card right off the bat, and having your UGN account is going to allow you to accrue and track more and more as you go through your hero or villain's journey. If free cards and progression all sound super appealing to you, the links for all of this are going to be in the description below. Now, let's get on to the video. Welcome, my friends, to another Alliteration gaming video. My name's Levi, and it's that time of the week again. It's time to do some watching of the market. Welcome to another installment of our Wealthy Aspirations series. If you're new here, I know we have a lot of new people flooding in from the set 3 hype and a lot of other things going on. In the event that you're one of those people, this is our lovely little market watch series where we go set by set, rarity by rarity, and just peek the entirety of the secondary market and keep a close eye on what's rising, what's dropping, and all of the big, fancy, exciting changes happening on the financial aspects of our game. So set 3 is no longer in pre-release mode. We're actually a bit well into the release right now, and the price changes are very, very interesting. There are some crazy fluctuations going. So let's take a sip of our Alliteration brand iced mocha and get right into things. Alright, so kicking it off with our set 3 secret rares, we're kind of seeing a very Crimson Rampage situation here. We've got some pretty niche secret rares here that are pretty hard to justify putting into decks and definitely aren't going to make their way into a lot of decks. They're very cool, very pretty cards, but at the end of the day, their usability is very low, so I think sub $10 for these is going to be a pretty perpetual price point. Moving on to our ultra rares, we're seeing some really interesting things going on here too. Obviously pre-release prices for these were really crazy. These were like 35, then they kind of stabilized at 20, and then everything else was in like the 10 to 15 range. These were like 10ish, these were like 15. These are pretty much what it is right now. These were like 10, these were like 12. There were some pretty crazy prices going on, and it looks like everything has very much settled, super low now. These are definitely our dollar URs of the set. These are definitely like our, I mean, this is like a $2 card. This is probably like a $2 card. It's probably a $2 card. I think like a few of these, like this, and this could probably deserve to be like $5. I think these should all be like at least $10. This could easily be 20. Based on like the actual power level and playability of the cards, those are kind of the price points I would expect. So it's really interesting to see them just be so low right now. Maybe the market is just very oversaturated right now, but I genuinely thought this was going to be like the frigid heat wave of the set. I thought that Twisting Azure Inferno was just going to be the most expensive card in the world everywhere, because Tokoyami needs to 4x that card, and that's probably just how you top nationals easy peasy. So it's really surprising to me that a lot of these URs are so cheap. Another big thing is that like we have more URs in the set that we did in set 2. This is something really interesting that someone a couple weeks ago in the Wealthy Aspirations comment section pointed out to me, is that set 2 has fewer URs than set 1 by quite a bit. I think set 2 has like 15, and then I think set 1 has like 19. So naturally, you're going to pull the set 2 URs a lot more. You're going to pull greater copies of them because there's fewer ultra rares in the set. And then I think set 3 has 17, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17. Yeah. So we kind of meet in the middle. So I thought it would be a little more than this, because if you're looking at 6 URs a box, barring any XR URs that you get, if you're looking at 6 URs a box, that's 36 URs a case, which is divided by 17 is like 2.1. So like two copies of a UR per case is actually quite an average. So considering you're looking at like 2 cases to probably place at the URs, and you might still not. I've seen cases with 1 copy of a UR in them. It's really surprising that these prices are so low. I would keep an eye on them. I honestly think that a lot of these are really good pickups though at these prices. Even if like they never go up, I don't think they're ever going to go back down. Like if you ever plan on playing these cards, like I think this is just the time to buy singles. A very downtrodden and surprising but interesting to keep an eye on ultra rare market for set 3. And then moving on to the XRs, things here have seen a lot of change over the last week or so. The secret rares are some big $40. I mean, in pre-release, these were like $200 or whatever. I don't know if anyone paid those prices. If you did and you see this now, I'm very sorry for you. But I think $40 for these is a pretty respectable price point considering how like niche they are. You're kind of just paying for how cool they look, and they definitely look $40 cool. Some of our most popular XR URs here, Piercing Needle and Twisting Azure Inferno. I think it actually is really surprising that this is cheaper than this, but I guess this has Toga on it, so there's the Toga tax there. But this is like the best card in the set, so like our character XRs are pretty much always going to be a respectable price. Set 2 seems to continue to respect that. I don't know why set 1 doesn't respect that. Maybe they're just a lot more common in set 1. But regardless, character prices are still looking really, really nice. Our prominence burn. So like, interestingly with our starter deck XRs, when the set first came out, all of the starter deck XRs, like 2 places had listings for them, and they were all like 25 to 30 bucks, which was crazy. Because yes, the starter deck XRs are harder to pull, but at the same time, not all of them are that usable. So I think there's a lot that will stay in that price point, but there's a lot that won't. So like Prominence Burn will stay, Ignited Arrow will stay, Quick to Act will stay, Prone to Dry Eyes will stay. Man, XR Blood Moon Rating is only 16. That makes my heart jump. I might have to pick up my 3rd playset, boys. I don't think this will stay 15. This is a very niche card. This is a very, very niche card. Again, Character XR is a decent price. Character XR decent price. A lot of the XR URs are holding some decent prices as well. This, again, really, really good starter deck XRs will stay expensive. Others will fall, like this thing right here. This thing will probably fall too. You kind of just have to know like what starter deck cards are really good. One with Nature will probably stay expensive just because it's one with Nature. Again, very, very good starter deck XR card. Very good card in general. XR Stun Grenade only being $12 is insane. If I ever wanted to play this card, I would pick up the set right now. I mean, what was the UR? $7? Just pick up the set. Like, are these going to get cheaper? I'm probably going to pick up the rest of these. I think $9 is a really, really good price on this. I think this could probably see a buyout easily. Lacerations for 10 is a good price as well. Flexion Mites is Compression Sphere. These for 10 are like really good prices as well. This only being 7 is crazy because I think a lot of really good decks are going to really, really love this card. This card is partially what makes like Water Osui coming back so hard in set 3. So interesting to see that one low. Interesting to see this one low too as well. I think Press Conference is a really, really good card. This is kind of a niche card. This is a pretty niche card. This is very niche, very niche. There's a lot of really, really niche ones here. This being super cheap is also interesting. I think this card is very good. This card is pretty niche too. Like, I foresee most of these like niche XRs falling in like the $3 to $5 range, which I think is where most of them will settle. This being $5 is crazy. During pre-release, there were like 3 of these in stock for like $7 each, and I like snap bought them super hard because I thought that was like an insane price, because really busted 0 difficulties just go in every deck, and those always end up like super expensive. Like, look at stuff like it can't be fixed, right? So I really thought this was going to be a lot more expensive. So I'm going to keep an eye on this one for sure, because I think there's a lot of rising room there. Then from there on out, everything is just kind of like a bunch of like $5 XRs. Poor Shoji, the only character under double digits. Poor Shoji. But yeah, a lot of these are just kind of like very like niche or tech cards. They very much deserve to be like some $5 XRs. Sudden Death down here, being in the $9 range, is kind of sad to see, but yeah, the card just doesn't see play in a lot of decks. It's a pretty niche card, all things considered. Basic Trainings being $3 is also very interesting. I would keep an eye on these. I don't think this will be a thing forever. Same logic as Easily Excited. I think really busted 0 diffs like are just like, they're just waiting. They're like XRs of busted 0 diffs are just waiting to just mass launch in price. Aside from that though, man, our XR market for set 3 really is not looking very healthy. Despite the fact that like they really up the foil patterns, all of the attacks go beautiful full art. You know, we're still seeing, you know, $3, $1, $1. We're still just seeing some very, very, very low prices on these. This will not say $17. I think no one's ever bought any of these ever. This looks way too good to be $4, but I mean, I guess the card is like okay. But again, just seeing a lot of really, really, really cheap XRs is crazy. We're seeing some weird ones down here. Brutish Swagger being 11, that kind of makes sense. That card's like fine, and it's also a UR, so I think like $10, that range is like pretty much the epitome of like what I expect the decent XR URs to be. Shigaraki being expensive character makes sense. Expensive character makes sense. This actually looks really good because this is the only other foundation in the set besides Prone to Dry Eyes that gets to use art from the strongest hero, meaning it goes full art as a foundation, which is why it looks so sick. I think every other foundation in the set and the starter decks is anime art. They don't look bad though per se, but it's interesting to see them up here, even with like the foil pattern shift. Hulking Grimace XR UR, Invisible Infiltration XR UR, holding some decent prices up here as well. That's really, really good to see. I mean, those are very good cards. I definitely expect those to stay fairly expensive. And then Engine Boost and Fierce Whirlwind being not so good XR URs sitting down here in the cheaper areas. So man, really interesting stuff going on with the XRs here. We have a lot of duds, but we also have a lot of heroes at the same time. And it's going to be interesting to see how these develop. I think a lot of those staple foundations are kind of just waiting to get bought out and then go up. I don't think a lot of those prices will hold, and I think a lot of the attacks, especially the ones that like look really good and are really playable, are just waiting to go up as well. Like just stuff like, I mean, XR Stun Grenade. XR Stun Grenade being 13 is just so wild to me. So I'm gonna keep a very eager eye on a lot of the XRs from set 3 because I think this market is far from settled. And then just moving on to the promos for set 3, nothing crazy here. All of our court packs and our pre-release promos just being $1 or $2. This was like $7 for like the entirety of last week. And now it's $2, and I don't think it'll stay $2. This card is really good. I think people are slowly realizing how nuts this card is, especially with like Chaos Tokoyami slowly becoming much more of a thing, and then Earth decks being like a big part of the format right now. And this card just protects your things from Seasoning Advantage, which is like the strongest card in the format right now. And Earth decks are so popular right now, and they have Apathetic. And yeah, this card just has like crazy stonks right now. Crazy stonks right now. This will not stay $2. This is gonna be a lot like Sugar Rush. It's probably gonna like go down to $2, shoot back up to 10 at some point, and then stabilize somewhere in the middle. But $2 is a great price point to buy this card. If you're gonna play any of those symbols, you gotta be ready. You gotta be ready with this card. Very key piece of the format coming up. Moving back into our dear old friend Crimson Rampage. Still nothing crazy going on with these secret rares. I say it every single week. These cards just aren't super great, and they're never gonna really fetch crazy prices like the set 1 secret rares. Same story. Our set 2 URs are basically looking kind of always the same. This is $20, this is $7, this is $5, and then everything else is $1 or $2. I don't think set 3 makes like any of these cards better. These are subpar 2 checks. This just isn't a great card. This Mina got no support. I think the only card that I think actually like sees more active play from this list going into set 3 is like Stomp, just because it's really good in tandem with the new Ibarra attack and evil decks that want to reuse that asset that commits itself. So nothing crazy going on with our URs. With our XRs, nothing really crazy happening either. This is still like, it's actually crazy that Excited for Blood is only like a few more bucks for the XR. Just get the XR at this point, man, if you're actually gonna buy these. Our characters are holding some decent prices. Double Jab Pummel is in its $10 to $15 range. Howitzer is in its $10 to $15 range. High value targets have like actually settled at a reasonable price. I guess like week after week of no one buying these at $25 finally made someone realize this isn't the way to get rid of these. So we got one here for 10 and then 6 here for 11 with $3 shipping. So not too bad there, not too bad. Finally a good time to pick those up if you want them. And then everything else, just, yeah, I mean, these poor XR URs, man. The XR URs are like, I say it a lot, but like they look like, the XR UR prices look like what the actual UR prices should be. A lot of these really cheap characters right here, I mean, definitely not the greatest characters in the world, but if you're, I don't know, if you're someone who just like wants to like have an XR of every character, which I could see being like a collection thing, it's not a bad time to pick up a lot of these, especially like the set 1 and set 2 ones. They're so cheap. There's a couple all-star foundations in here that I think it's crazy or so cheap. I think it's Wild, this is cheap, Wild, this is cheap, Wild, this is cheap. But I guess like even $4 or $5 is actually like expensive for these XRs. So I guess it's not really cheap like within the confines of things. But within the aspects of like, hey, this is actually a really good card, it is cheap. But again, a lot of these like actually deserve to be at least $4 or $5. So at least they're holding that, and it makes them really easy to pick up. But I mean, I'm speeding through these, but honestly, nothing has really changed in the set 2 XR department. And then of course for set 2 DLC, Cannon Blast is the only card worth more than $1. Everything else is pennies. Just buy your Cannon Blasts if you need your Cannon Blast. And then going into our set 2 promo lineup, I expect to see some very interesting things going on here because all of our store provisional championships have happened. And even though most of the ones being given out to those are non-foil provisional promos, there are a lot of foils being given out as well, meaning the market just got a huge influx of foil and non-foil provisional promos, which is absolutely going to affect prices. Already we can see Waylays down from 30 to 20, these down from 30 to 21, Flamethrowers and Gigantic Explosions going down to their 20s from their $30 price points. This is pretty much what I expected as soon as those provisional started to go out. A lot of the regional ones still holding some decent prices. A lot of the characters getting a lot cheaper now too, which is really good to see. I don't like those provisional promos being so expensive. I don't mind mechanically unique promos, but I don't want them to be super expensive and or hard to acquire. So I think we're seeing the store provisional championships doing exactly what the intended purpose of them was on the provisional promo accessibility and secondary market aspects, because all of these are super easy to get now, and I think they're just going to fall even more and more as more of those events actually happen. I know like a huge round of them are happening this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised to see things like Waylay, Explosion, and Flamethrower hitting like the $15 range even. So very good to see there. I'm glad that those are getting to be more reasonable prices. $30 for all those cards just made no sense, but when we only had a few provisionals, it made a lot of sense. And then some of these RLE promos, still really crazy to see these be so super duper cheap. Again, blood curdles, like the same exact price as victory and promos, just get the victories. And if you need them, get them, because again, if you're playing those 3 symbols, big card in the upcoming format. I think this is always gonna be a good card too. These are actually like pretty real prices too. That's interesting to see. And then everything after that is just like $1 or $2. Now let us check out the beloved set 1. Secret rare is still looking about the same as last week. Nothing crazy going on here. Nitro like slowly creeping up more and more, trying to find like a not a crazy price, but an interesting price. Gotta keep an eye on that Nitro. It's looking to break that 30 any day now. And then for our URs, things are actually kind of on the downtrend. Obviously Heatwave is still $30, then like these are still holding like that $5 or $6. Everything else super duper cheap. Tornadoes for 3, Meteors for 3, Evil Gazes for 4, and then everything else is $1 or $2. Soundwaves for $1. Man, that's just crazy. These are really super cheap price points, and I guess maybe just the saturation of the market is really starting to catch up with itself. But either way, I think all of these URs are actually just at rock bottom, and if you just plan on, I mean, it's a great time to pick up any of these cards. A lot of new set 3 decks, like Reciprocal Burst is still in so many set 3 decks, this is in so many set 3 decks. This is a much more playable card now. Mandalay Staff Strike's gonna be exciting. Sero is a much more real character right now. Tokoyami's like the best deck in the format. This is still just one of the strongest cards. Like, it's just crazy that all of these are like $1 or less, especially with how much more relevance they get. I've seen Relentless Barrage decks in set 3 quite a lot. Like, it's crazy, man. These are so cheap. If new cards from set 3 are making you want to build new decks and they include these cards, it's just never been a better time to go and pick these guys up when they're so cheap. And then for our XRs for set 1, our XSRs are still kind of about what we expected. 25 for Ice Storm is really nice. I wonder how many of those there are. These have been really nicely stabilizing. Yeah, 1 for 25 and 1 for 30. If you're looking to find that last copy to finish your set, this is not a bad price, especially when they go to the 40s and the 50s afterwards. A lot of people have been waiting a long time for a price like that on these Ice Storms. These are really expensive still, These have definitely found their ground back as an expensive XR. Hardened Jabs still don't really exist. Looks like we got a reverse throw for $12. Interesting. Is it only one? Yeah, just one, and then they go to crazy prices. This is a great price for this card. This is what the price for this card should be. It's a very versatile starter deck XR that looks really good. Some interesting 1.3s here as well. I wonder if this is multiple or if it's unlimited or what's going on here. Yeah, it looks like it's just a few and they are all unlimited. If we go all the way to the first eds, those are still like crazy daisy prices, so really interesting to see that going on there. I mean, if you don't care about the unlimited to the first ed, those are actually pretty reasonable prices for a few of them. Destined for mainstream success still looks like it doesn't want to find any reasonable pricing ground. They're all just in the absolute non-existent range. This is crazy, man. I really regret not picking these up back in the day when they were like $12. Those would have been absolute steals. Requesting assistance still doesn't want to find like an actual price. Passing the torch looking just as crazy as well. These are probably gonna be expensive for quite a long time. Moving into our next page, everything is kind of as it seems here. These have finally stabilized into an actual price. Latent Skill has not done the same, still looking really crazy. Super Regions are 15. That's actually pretty interesting. I mean, that one's always been like in the $10 to $12 range. It's just interesting that it's holding it so strong, but it is a very beautiful XR. Other than that, though, it doesn't look like there's anything crazy going on here. I think 10 for these is really good. I like this one better than the RLE. I think the RLE doesn't look that great. The squat on Ida is just a little weird in my opinion. $4 for these is crazy. Just buy these. Just buy these. If you're playing Tokoyami, it's crazy if you don't have those. It can't be fixed, just getting harder and harder to acquire. Yeah, we got 1 at 20, 1 at 26, and then after that, 1 at 40, and then they don't exist. So very interesting stuff going on there. I no longer use my set of these, so I might have to look into getting rid of these while they're at crazy price points. Jolt Super Cheap, again a nice alternative to the XR. And then we just got some staple ones like Wall Cling, like Tape, like Tight Lipped. A lot of just really staple cards, Touch of Decay, Quick Trade, Mainly Passionate Guy, all holding like really solid actual price points. Our characters being super duper cheap. Calling for backup, looks like it came back at an actual reasonable price point. These were a bit bought out. Looks like we got one at like essentially $13, then a 25 and 100, so very non-existent, not actual price points for those. That being said, though, I don't think the card sees as much play as it does anymore in set 3, so take that price with a grain of salt regardless. Arrogant Dispositions, I think, also had a pretty crazy price not too long ago. Those definitely stabilized. Self-Sacrifice, looking crazy daisy. Cloth Capture is a nice $9. I think that's actually a pretty good price for it. Again, that card, I think, just gets better and better in set 3 as people play more and more binding cloth decks and realize how good these chains are, even if just like any combo decks in general. Void Discard is real, guys. Void Discard is a very, very real deck that you have to be on the lookout for. Apathetics, I think, is crazy at only $5. I really should just pick up my set of these, even if I stop playing my current deck that plays them at any point in the near future. It just seems like such a good pickup. It's just such a cheap price for them, man. Missouri Smash XR, only $2. It has Richard Flexum on it. Crazy that it's so cheap. Absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. Jokes aside, though, there's really just not a lot to talk about in the set 1 extra department. Not much is changing. I think there's a lot that are worthy of some big price points they still hold, and then some like Release and a lot of other really good staples that are just way too cheap for no reason, even if they don't look very different. Like Creepy being $3 is crazy. I guess that card's like a little less out of the meta than it was. But yeah, nothing really crazy going after this. Just all of these like dollar XRs happening. Moving on to the DLC, Tongue Whip is like an actual price point card. First Day is an actual price point card. After that, prices don't really exist. I guess if you really need both of these cards, you could buy just the DLC itself if you can get it for $20, and it's a pretty reasonable price point. And then for our set 1 promos, things are looking pretty normal here. Still only a few of these in existence at a pretty crazy price. These are just getting lower and lower as time goes on. Our runner-ups like Reciprocal Extend and Long Lasting holding some decent price points, and then all our other older set 1 provisional cards still just being very expensive. Crow and Frogs looking at 13. Those are starting to come down a little bit. Plus Ultras at 12 and 15. Those are starting to come down a little bit. Those were like all $20 like a week ago. These were like $10. These were like $10 a week ago. So those also coming a little bit down. I think they were just kind of, in the middle of like a little temporary price hike. But still, holding like $5 and $7 is pretty respectable for like Series 1 Plus Ultra cards. Especially because everything else in the kit is dirt cheap. Phew, that was a long one, guys. Set 3 really adding some time to these. By the time we get another set under our belts, I might have to start reworking the format for these and only like cherry pick certain exciting things to look out for. Otherwise, going over everything is just going to be too crazy, man. But either way, really interesting price points on a lot of these, and it's a lot of exciting stuff. Set 3, I think set 3's market is still very unstabilized. Everything is super cheap right now, and I think it's a good time to pick up a lot of things. Same goes for a lot of the URs from set 1 and a lot of the nice XRs from all 3 sets going around. I don't think it's a bad time to be spending your money on singles, because I don't think they will get much cheaper from here on out. So as always, we're going to keep a very close eye on the market as a whole, specifically set 3, and we're going to do it every single week on Wealthy Aspirations, every single Wednesday. So if you want to stay tuned and keep up with all that, hit the subscribe button down below so I can shove all of my nearly daily MHA CCG content into your news feed. And if you want to leave me some feedback, I would love a like or a dislike if you disliked the video, and a comment down below on what you liked or disliked. I really love reading you guys' comments, and getting the feedback really means a lot to me. For now though, guys, that's all the time I've got. I will see y'all next week for another Wealthy Aspirations. Above all else, I hope I'll see you in the next video too. Thanks.